Today's The World Around Us will be presented in Gaelic and English, with subtitles in Arabic, Aulacese or Vietnamese, Chinese, English, French, Gaelic, German, Indonesian, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Malay, Mongolian, Persian, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish and Thai. Banach chi a lucht ferkna agus fáilte chuig The World Around Us inniu. Ag bar an conic I dheis ceart na hÉireann suamhnach, tar dúin ursa agus ard eaglis cáiliúla ann, carreg cashel. No mar as far ana, cashel na rithe, no carreg fáric. Sitje I cúgi mún, ba hé carreg fáric na cónaí tradiisiúnta na luha rithe. Cuireann tróirí turas éarnacha, Mr. Seamus McCahey, carreg fáric I láthair dún, agus cuireann sé I nua dún, stair na hÉireann, a chéan siar 2 milliún bliain.
The first king to have been crowned here was a man called Conal Kirk, and that was back in the year 370 AD, and he was a member of the Oanachta tribe, and they really dominated the kingdom of Munster for a few centuries. You can be fairly sure that it was probably being used for other maybe ceremonial important purposes before that. Then emerged really as that capital of Munster, and it could well have been really to do with the old boundaries at the time here in the middle of County Tipperary. You're not really too far from the other provinces. You do have a very good view, of course, surrounding the site here as well, and that was always an important consideration when it would come down to selecting a place that people would have to look up to, a place that they would have respect for.
I míle céad sa héin, thug mercar teach dó bhriain, riana mún agus garbhach ordriana hÉireann carreg páric go haglais Christi. Ribh sin bhí cócangel hana ag carreg fáric le néamh páric. Deirtear go rug néamh páric, Satan a bhain grím á slíomh 3 kilometre ó thuaidh. Hit fisa de bhéal Satan a darrig ina carreg fáric. Gur star ólas go dain gur thug néamh páric cúit ar carreg fáric, in ratha na bliain, 450, agus bhfuil sé le rí Angus garbhach 100 rí na mún.
Angus was said to have been the first king to be baptised in the Christian faith here. Patrick came here as a missionary and persuaded him to come into the new faith. They held a ceremony of baptism somewhere up here on the grounds. If you could baptise the leader, there was a good chance the people would come into the same faith as well. So it's because of his visit that the site was eventually dedicated to him when it became a religious one. There's St. Ailbe from Emily. He is also associated with here. Some historians actually credit him with bringing Christianity here as well.
Léirí tar star samúla carreg fáric san áilteach iontacha. San áiríam an cloch teacht, sépil an rí Cormac nó sépil Cormac, agus an ard eaglis mór mar as ana ard eaglis néamh páric. Tá ard 8 métar is fiche ar an cloch teacht le 6 urlár, agus is ceann den na fórnamh leasa is fearr.
Of the buildings standing here today, the earliest is the Round Tower. It's reckoned it dates from the early 12th century. It was something that was always quite prominent on the landscape in those days, a building that had a degree of prestige attached to it, and our own one here would have been used on site as a bell tower.
Inniu, Jane Courtorius Doc sa Siv, Trid Hala Corul na Vicar. Is can ella de Seheher on Siv Togalcha sa Kuga Kejig in Eka Antua. Trasnin Ornade na Hala, Island Shock Aimet Aryas.
Well, we're here now in the Hall of the Vicar's Choral, as it's known, the home to the choir here. Back in medieval times, there was, up to that time, a choir present here on the site, appointed by the Archbishop to deputise for the clergy here on the grounds. They get a balcony or gallery there, and there are very good examples of the skill really of the carpenters here, with the woodwork, the carvings on the woodwork, the gallery as well, at the western end of the hall, the roof as well here, the ceiling, if you like, above our heads, which is based on that of Dunslewy Castle in County Dublin. The roof from that building has survived since medieval times and is used as a sample for these kind of buildings. And around the room here as well, you have examples of the kind of furnishings that would have been here at the time. The large dining table is at the back of the room, gives you a good idea of the kind of things that would have been here, and the whitewashed walls gave you a bit of extra brightness. The tapestry behind me dates, they reckon, from round about the 1600s. The scene on it depicts the Queen of Sheba arriving at the kingdom of King Solomon, and the tapestry probably made in Flanders around that time. If they could afford it, they would have a tapestry hanging because it brought a bit of life and colour to the room. And it's also said that if you had enough of them hanging around the walls, it could be a good extra layer of insulation as well.
Ag fearcin siar os cór, fectar an intín galanta den ord aglish. Go leerlacht níl pasiacht ag an ord aglish I grút crisa. Fé láthar is ord aglish gan géine, le padrua go bonu ag shrikend an spéir gal. Is each bédan ag an is mór haisach, ná an transips gach éan le trífuinioga céil álín. Tá gach éan transipt, crocta le gá sépéil a Kaitar Tev.
In the 13th century, the large Gothic cathedral was built. By then the site was established as home to an archbishop, and those positions were created round about the middle of the 12th century. You have the 12th century round tower, the chapel as well from roughly 3 decades later. Cathedral then, which dominates the site today from the 13th century, and because it developed as the site of an archbishop, that's why the cathedral was built here at that time. When that was built, it was known as St. Patrick's Cathedral as well. So there is that strong connection still here with him today.
Is a Shepel Cormac, Camden a Fornav is Tavokti an Lohreen, and Nitar on Fornav, Merga, than structure Facinta Sophisticula.
The other building would be Cormac's Chapel, built in the late 1120s into the early 1130s, and is known as King Cormac's Chapel. Cormac was King of Munster at that time, and it was quite common for men in his position to help out the church, to be sponsors of them, and the Romanesque church, that's the style of it, the style of the time, and today thankfully it's one of the best preserved Romanesque churches in the country.
Tá intína Shepel Cormac Masa la Jarni Intica, Banter Tanif Os Gaelgada na Ganaha Rovanul.
It's regarded as the best example of a preserved, intact Romanesque church from that period. The Romanesque, of course, just simply means the semicircular rounded arches, and they're a feature of the exterior and the interior of the building as well. The chapel has a stone roof, and that was probably the biggest factor in its preservation now for the best part of 9 centuries in keeping it intact. It's also a building that probably has influences from outside Ireland as well, because in those days a king like Cormac, it wasn't unusual for him to go on pilgrimage abroad, and he'd bring back ideas with him of what he had seen. He'd also perhaps bring back craftsmen as well, stonemasons who could work on the structures.
Jara tógmid splacha cíist na Harstéanatan in Irsmala Carrickforrick.
Just on this side of the case, you have a couple of interesting items that relate to the 12th century. You have the Cashel crozier, which was discovered in the 1860s here on the site itself. The original was made in Limoges in France, and it was probably something that was used by maybe a bishop here in the site in the 12th century, maybe one of the kings of Munster as well in the early 1100s as well. And just beside it then you have the Cashel bell. It's a good example of the tongueless handbell that would have been utilised in the Round Tower. They'd ring the bell from there, and it would resonate then around the site. That was the call then to mass or to ceremony. Just over here as well on the far wall you have, from a slightly earlier period, the tomb panel with the knights there carved out on it. Yeah, you have the knights underneath the Gothic arches here. The title there, Elephant and Castle, above it. It could be associated with Pope Leo X. It is quite nicely carved out. You have the depiction here of the elephant itself, the elaborate castle on its back, and then on top of the castle, for good measure, you have the carving here of the griffin as well, the half eagle, half lion, a kind of mythical creature on top.
Anseo is féidir hiiscint a bheith agat go bhain Críos Naomh Pádraig, symbol Amish. Ó hús, seas sé las mic go dtí 1987 nuair a bhogad é lastig mar cosint.
Yeah, and just beside it then you have the carving of St. Matthew and St. John. These probably could have been part of an altar here on site, again back in medieval times. The evangelists, the apostles who wrote the Gospels, all depicted, for example, St. John depicted as the eagle, St. Matthew there as the angel, and then just on the opposite side of the museum, on the wall there, you have St. Mark, the lion, and then St. Luke, the bull there as well.
Is cuid speisialta é an Carrickforrick, bheith leasathe dóireacht na hÉireann Iontacha. Golantar sé a bheith mar dríocht Iontacha idir cosebhar agus láireacht buíocht. Go raibh maithe agat a lucht féachana as our tonglacan are the world around us in you. Fánaigí túnta le Supreme Master Television na haig Words of Wisdom, díreacht in a noteworthy news. Gaimid banachtaí síochána agus grá ormh. Thank you, beautiful viewers, for accompanying us on today's The World Around Us. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for words of wisdom right after noteworthy news. Wishing you blessings of peace and love.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/WAU.